The Stable Diffusion 3 weights were released recently for your personal non-commercial research at home, so I'm sure you've already tried them and thought, wow, this follows prompts very well. And both of the styles are really cool. Just for giggles then, I've carefully crafted a selection of prompts for this, the How Well Does Your Model Do episode. Obviously, I can't show you Stable Diffusion 3 here without buying a creator's license, so what I've done instead is copy the prompts into the video description for you to test at home. Hopefully that should be nicely in line with their legal requirements. As T5 is the flavour of the day, instead, I'm pitching two T5 heavyweights against each other, Pixart Sigma and HunYuan. Of course, I'm not sure how to pronounce that last one, but hey, here in Comfy, I've set the stage so that both models get the same prompt, though for the samplers, I've tried to get the best out of each model, which is why they're a little bit different. Oh, and if you're testing the prompts at home using Stable Diffusion 3, maybe you could let me know down in those video comments which of the three models you think did best overall on these various prompts. Okay, the first one is the simplest. It's just an empty prompt. So what happens if you give it nothing and only use a negative? Here are the outputs. Now, on the left, we've got Pixart, and on the right, we've got HunYuan. As you can see, with no prompt, we've got some very different images from Pixart Sigma. I've done a little batch of 4 here, and each of the 4 there, I think they're all completely different. That's fairly safe to say. But on the right, we've got the same sort of subject, haven't we? We've got a person 4 times. Very interesting. Okay, with that test prompt out of the way, let's move on to prompt number 2 then, a woman sleeping on the grass. I wonder how well that prompt does in Stable Diffusion 3. Not sure myself, but if you're playing along at home, then you'll be able to compare. We've got the results from our 2 models here. Difficult to choose between them both, but personally, I prefer my humans to be at least roughly human-shaped. On to prompt number 3 then, and just for giggles, I thought I'd give it a little bit of a throwback there, an avocado chair. Once again, a great difference between the 2 models there, and I think you can see the one on the right has more closely followed the shape of an actual avocado, whereas the one on the left has gone more for the chair thing, although I think that's probably a bit like more of a sofa there down in the bottom right, so yeah, not sure. Obviously the prompt there is particularly ambiguous, so let's move on to something a little bit more concrete. This time then, I'm asking for an anime art style blue rabbit flying through the air, wearing a red cape and goggles. Some good outputs there, nice to see the correct number of ears on your rabbit. If you're comparing versus Stable Diffusion 3 at home, then hopefully these are all coming out okay for you as well. Lovely. Okay, so let's have a quick look at these. This is quite good. These are quite good. Definitely a very anime style, whereas this is, well, it's a bit wobbly, really, isn't it? It's a bit wobbly and it's a bit more like a painting. So my personal preference is over here. I think that has done better on the prompt, but everyone has their own preferences. On to the next prompt then. So now we're being much less ambiguous and we're asking for very specific things, so we should expect that to come out. Okay, so this is a vector art style business logo, SVG, simple, plain, psychic, rodent emoji. Now imagine in your mind how you think this is going to come out and which one of these models will do the best. Okay, so how did that image in your head compare to these outputs we've got here? There's lots of very good ones. I personally prefer this one here. That's a very good vector art style rodent logo. Very nice. Those are all very good. These are not quite as good as these. I mean, these are really clean, aren't they? Look, I mean, you've got the nice lines, little bit wobbly. It's a nice rodent, not what I asked for. Also not really sort of that flat vector art style. So once again, I think personally I'm scoring over here, but up to you. Prompt number 6 then, and this time I'm doing another style. This one is a fantasy art style rodent mage, and he's level 12, so I expect the artwork to be very good. Imagine that image in your mind and, well, let's see how it compares. Which model has the best fantasy art style rodent mage then? That's actually quite tricky. I like all of them. Quite like this guy, even though he's got a little bit of an extra tail, but then the expression on this face is quite cool, and he's casting fireball spells, so that's quite tricky. Prompt number 7 then, and this is a chibi rodent scientist discovering where he left his pencil. What should that look like? Well, it should have a fairly large head on those rodents, but let's see what the results are like. Lots of good-looking results again there, but I think these, I don't know, I just prefer them. And once again, they're following the prompt. So he's got the big head and it's meant to be more of an anime style. So yes, those are all very good, particularly like this one down here. These are okay, but they're all different styles. That's more of a photo. Those two have this background. That one's got a plane. So I think this is more consistent in its outputs, and this is a bit more creative. So I don't know, which one do you prefer? Sticking with those cartoony style prompts then with number 8. This time I'm asking for a giraffe engineer, and I want a manga style. I'm not sure what your imagination created for a manga style giraffe engineer, but here is what the two different models did. And once again, I like this one down here. He's like a little bit epic. It's got this sort of whole engine thing going on as well as an engineer. So yeah, that's a definite favourite of mine, although all of those are very cool. Quite a stern expression on that one. Those are, I mean, they're quite good, but I'm not really sure about some of the sort of wobbliness and those backgrounds. Personal choice once again. So let's take a look at these and then move on to the next prompt. Something a little bit longer this time. So I want an illustration of a rabbit doctor wearing a blue surgeon's gown walking down the path of an old cemetery. He should have green eyes, brown fur, fine ears, and there should be a sort of solemn feel to that misty path. The two models created these for that prompt, and well, I think these ones, I mean, he's almost got a solemn look on his face, but this has definitely captured the overall vibe. We've got the misty, it's solemn, it's austere, it feels a little bit haunted, the sort of the gloom. These are a little bit too cartoonish and cheery and stuff, aren't they? So again, my personal preference is over here, but if you're keeping count, then do put down your own scores now. These can handle very long prompts, of course, so here is quite a long prompt. I'm hoping this time for Cthulhu standing over a kitten, and I want a very old sort of classical painting artwork style. And there they are, once again, very different. Wow, that is tough. I mean, I really like that one straight away, but then these two Cthulhus are very cool as well. And what is going on there? I don't even know what that is. That's like a mixture of Cthulhu and the kitten. So it's a no to those. Those three are okay. Oh, and are they an old painting style? I don't know. I think I'm actually going to have to go with Pixart this time. I do. It's tough between those two, but make your own decisions there. Prompt number 11 and a new style. This time I want Cubism, so I'm looking for a Cubist art style kangaroo druid in the forest. These are the results then, and we've definitely got some very interesting ones. I mean, they do seem consistent. Once again, we've had a little bit of lack of consistency from Pixart, but those are all quite good as far as Cubism goes. These are quite good too, little bit defined on the kangaroo there. Haven't got a lot of druid, so well, score as you feel fit. Okay, so I'm being a bit sneaky here, asking for a Chinese ink painting style of a little deer standing in a lush bamboo forest, but let's see which one does best. 4 images from each model then, and this time they all do look a little bit similar, so that is quite difficult, but which one exudes a sense of tranquility and harmony for you? Prompt number 13, unlucky for some, a stone statue of a deer relaxing on top of a colourful bed in an old Victorian house, and this time I want it as a photo. Once again, we have a delectable selection. Now, I think the one for me that pops out is that one. That is definitely a stone statue of a deer relaxing on top of a colourful bed. That one's too much like a realistic deer. That's a stone deer. It's got a cool expression, but far too many legs, and that's just, I'm not even sure what that is. These are, I mean, they have a certain style around them, but I'm not sure what's going on here with these extra appendages. So I don't know. What do you think? Prompt number 14 and another style. This time I want a childish doodle of a bad kitten. Well, I don't know what children are doodling these days, but if they're doodling at this quality, then, well, they've got some artistic talent, because this is more like what I wanted to see. So even though it's a worse quality image, so to speak, that's what I asked for. I want a childish doodle of a bad kitten. So that one, I think, is my personal favourite, although that one is a very close second. These, unfortunately, are too good. Yet another style in prompt number 15, paper cut art. So this time I want a tiger emerging from a bunch of flowers. The results then, and it's another tough call. I mean, they've certainly both got the style down, but that one is very nice. I do like the sort of depth that it's put on those, but those ones aren't quite as good. You can see this model overall has more sort of structured and clear objects in there, but sometimes that can be to the detriment of the style. I did ask for bold colours, so, that's a tricky one. Another style then, and this time I want charcoal art. Hopefully we should get a ghostly face peering in through the window into my house from outside. With regards to the charcoal art style then, I think, well, certainly for me, it's clear Pixart's Sigma is much closer. I mean, this is a very nice image, but the style, with regards to the style, this is too clean. It's more like a sort of pencil drawing or something. This is more charcoal style, and that face, yeah, it's easy victory for Pixart for me there, but of course the final choice is yours. Talking of final choices, this is the last prompt for now then, and it's basically just to point out that some models handle languages a little bit better than others. In case you can't read this here, I'm asking for an impressionist art style painting of a rodent holding a cup of coffee. Once you start using different languages, it's very obvious to see which model does better. And of course, if you're looking to get either of these models set up at home, then do check out my previous videos.
Nerdy rodent. He really makes my day. Showing us AI in a really British way.